Hi, okay, this is my fourth tutorial now, I think. We've done a few bits of work on the basics. I thought today we'd have a go at something that's a bit of an algorithm. Very simple, but it starts to get the ideas. It's based on the ideas of a guy called Peano, who was a mathematician. And basically, this first program is just going to work out the sum of two numbers only using +1 and -1. So you'll see what I mean, hopefully, as we go forward. So it's a simple addition algorithm. And it just illustrates really the way that computers do things. So this may not be actually the way that the computer does addition, but it demonstrates the idea that you have to have a method for doing something that's going to work, and teach that to the computer basically through your program, and then it'll give you the right answer. So the idea is that you've got to imagine that all your computer knows how to do is to add 1 and take away 1. So we're going to start with text window dot writeLine, and then we're just going to give it a little title. So it's going to be called Peano Addition. Then I'm going to ask for a number. So then I need to put that number in somewhere. So text window read number. So let's store that other number in a variable called b. Okay, so that's now we've got the data, we can start to do something with it. So we're going to start off with text window dot writeLine, and I'm just going to set this up so that it gets ready to get the answer printed out. So I'm going to say a plus b equals, did I put a space in there? Yes, I did. And that's where I'm going to leave it actually for now. The rest of it comes a bit later. Okay. Then I'm going to call a subroutine, which is going to be called Peano. I haven't written that yet. And we're just going to print out B. Actually, I need to just make a slight change there. I don't want it to put a line return. Okay. So, so that's the end of the main part of the program. Now we're going to do the subroutine. So I just call that sub Peano. Don't need the brackets when I'm defining it. I'm going to set a little label, which you'll be familiar with if you've watched the other tutorials. Then I'm going to say if a is not equal to, which is how you do it in SmallBasic with the angle brackets. If it's not 0, then a equals a minus 1. Whoops. Yeah. And b equals b plus 1. So the way this algorithm works is very simple. It just keeps taking 1 from the first number and adding 1 to the second number, until the first number is 0, at which point the second number is obviously going to be the sum of the two. Go to loop. Just going to keep doing that until it gets to 0. Something's going on with my typing today, sorry. End if, and sub. Okay, so if we have a go at that, see if that works. So it's asking me for a number. I've made a slight error in the way that I've caused that to happen, but never mind. And it's given me the correct answer, so far so good. What I should probably have done there is just made that a text window right, which would just make it look a little bit nicer. Obviously what it's doing is putting a line return. So if I do it that way, that just looks a bit neater. So if I do 6 and 4, just for sake of argument, yeah, that still works. Okay, so what we've got there is a very simple little algorithm which does addition. So obviously it's not much more difficult to do one that does subtraction. So let's do that now. Whoops. So we'll just need to do a few changes here. So it's a simple subtraction algorithm. So we can leave these things the same pretty much. So what we need to do is just change the print line there so that, oops, no, that's not, yeah, that is the one I want to change, so it's a minus. And then this time we've got to look at B instead, because B is the one that we're taking away. So if B isn't 0, then we want to take one away from A and take one away from B as well. So let's just see if that works. So if I start off with 10 and I want to take away 2, oh, something's wrong. Ah, I know what it is, sorry. Because of course the answer now will be stored in A. That's what happens when you try cutting and pasting. Okay, so that's working nicely. Okay, so the next step obviously is to then say, okay, well we've got subtraction and addition working quite nicely just using using plus and minus 1. Can we take that any further? Can we work out a program that will do division, for instance, which is a little bit more complicated? So I'm going to start from scratch on this one to avoid those sort of mistakes that I was making there. So division, really, when you think about it, is just repeated subtraction, so shouldn't pose too much of a problem. It's a little bit more tricky. So if we save this as, I'll just call it P division for short. Okay, so the first part's just going to be quite similar. Text window, right line, Peano division. Then we need some numbers. Actually, we'll just do the right. Whoops. Oh. Trying to go a little bit Too fast for my own good there, I think. So I do my little read number thing. And let's put that into A once again. So my first number's there. Okay, so now I want to just print out the first part of the answer. And again, I'm not going to do right line because I want to be able to just add the last part of this on once we've calculated it. So A divided by B is, and that's all we need for now. Okay, now we're going to have a variable which we're going to use to hold the result, so let's call that result. Start it off at 0. And then we're going to make a little copy of B because we need to have to keep repeatedly subtracting that. So, whoops. And the way that we do subtraction, obviously, using Peano subtraction sort of will destroy the original B. So we need to do copy of B equals B. Okay, then we're going to call the division subroutine, which obviously we haven't written yet, but that's fine. So that's just called divide, and then that will return to us a remainder, which will be stored in A. So if A is 0, text window, right line. So all we need to do then is print the result. But, oops, if there is a remainder, then we're going to have to do something slightly different. So if there is a remainder, we're going to write result plus remainder. Oh, actually, I think I was going to put a comma in there as well. Remainder A is where we're going to find the remainder. Whoops, so that's the end of the if. And that's the end of the main program. So now we need to write a division subroutine, which is basically just repeated subtraction. So we call it sub divide, and I'm going to make a little loop just like before using a goto. I'm going to check to see so if A is greater than B or equal to B for that matter, then I'm going to call my Peano subtraction, and I'm going to add 1 to the results, because that means there's one more lot of the B and the A sort of thing. We've got one more to add to our divide total. I'm going to reset B, because obviously B's become 0 now as a result of that subtraction routine. So B is copy of B, and then I'm going to go to div loop. So it's going to keep going around there until it's impossible to take any more B's away from A. And obviously, if there is still something left in A, then that is our remainder, which we've already catered for later on. Earlier on in the program. So if there was anything left in A, it'll print that as a remainder. Whoops. So here we're going to do the subtraction, and it's just pretty much the same really as what we already done. So we've put in a loop, and we say if B is not 0, so if we haven't got rid of all of the contents of B, then A is A minus 1 and B is B minus 1. Let's put some spaces in there, it doesn't really matter. And then we just loop around that. And that's the end of my loop. Sorry, that's the end of my if. And that is the end of my sub. Now let's just see if that's working as we want. So if I start off with a number like 10, and I want to divide it by 2, it tells me that 10 divided by 2 is 5. If I run the program again, just to check if my remainder thing's working, 15 divided by 4, let's say, is 3, remainder 3, which looks pretty much accurately to me. Okay, so what we've done there is we've used a simple algorithm which allows us to do subtraction, and then we've used that repeatedly to achieve division. And it's just an illustration really of how to do things with a computer at a very simple level, but I think if you start to learn some of these skills, then you can quite easily start to tackle more complex problems. That's the plan. Anyway, thank you very much for watching.